welcome back to Inside the Minds of Authors. I am your host, DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you guys are joining me today. If you've been watching the show all day, you know this is episode 3, and we have had amazing authors today. If you're new to the show, this is a program dedicated to bringing you fabulous, passionate authors who are sharing their works with you. So we have up and coming as well as very popular authors joining on the podcast. So this is exciting. You guys get to see it live for very inside conversations with them. You also have an opportunity if you're here on YouTube to put some comments on the bottom so we can read them on the screen. So making it a little bit more interactive. I have the honor of having the amazing Miss J.E. Weiner with us today, so it's going to be a fabulous conversation. But if you're new to our podcast and have never followed us along, make sure to subscribe. You do not want to miss a single episode. We are here today. We have one more this afternoon. Then we'll be back in May, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. And because you guys are here to talk to our fabulous author, we're going to bring her on. Hello, dear. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Good morning.
It is amazing. I am so glad you're joining us. You are in Northern California, so you're still morning time, so I'm excited. How does it feel?
Yes, that's right. Oh, it's great. I'm thrilled to be here and share a little bit about my debut novel.
We are thrilled you're here. We're going to jump right into the book. I'm going to let you start it with a reading, but we wanted to cheer you and congratulations on the book while we're cheering you with some sparkling tea. It's still appropriate. So we're going to turn it over to you and the book. Give us a little bit of what the book's about and start the reading.
Sure. Well, The Wretched and Undone is my debut novel. It is a searing Southern Gothic family saga that starts on the eve of the Civil War with the arrival of the Anderwald family from Poland and takes us through their adventures over 4 generations to 1987 in the town of Bandera, Texas, which is self-proclaimed the cowboy capital of the world. So this is what I was hoping to read today as the prologue, which kicks off this wonderful saga. Prologue. Bandera, Texas, 1987. The crunch of gravel and the thump of a car door alerted the proprietor of the Frontier Times Museum that he had company. He poked a gnarled index finger between the slats of the wood blinds he'd been dusting, widening the space between them, and peered outside. A rusted pickup slowed along 13th Street, the driver's attention attracted, no doubt, by the shiny black Cadillac parked out front. The bells atop the entrance tinkled, and sunlight flooded into the museum's dim interior. An elegant woman slipped over the threshold, letting the heavy cedar door slam behind her. The star-shaped window carved into the door's center panel framed her face like a halo. The visitor who had come to call was most unexpected. Truth be told, any visitors to the Frontier Times were a rarity of late. The proprietor, also the museum's self-appointed curator, did not know the woman, but she seemed familiar. He searched his brain, sorting the detritus of memories from a life lived well past the age of 90. "Hello," she called out. The curator continued to observe the stranger from behind a display cabinet containing a stuffed, two-faced, four-eyed baby goat that had come to the museum's collection after a run at the county fair 50 years prior. He wanted another moment to recall where he had seen this woman before. His visitor wound her way through the teetering and wobbling exhibits, which were equal parts tribute to Bandera's legacy as the cowboy capital of the world and the long-standing local obsession with taxidermy. She wore less makeup than was the fashion of the times, and soft freckles kissed the bridge of her aquiline nose. The curator's breath began to fog the cabinet's glass, which caught the woman's attention. He shuffled behind the counter as if he'd popped in from the back room. "Can I help you?" he asked, stuffing his feather duster into a bucket on the floor. The visitor stepped closer and bent over the glass countertop, surveying the artifacts on display beneath. Wisps of raven hair fell across her cheeks, and she instinctively tucked them behind her ears. She straightened and smiled. A spark of recognition bridged the man's shriveled synapses. He realized he'd seen that face, splashed across the newspaper's front pages and flashed across his television screen over the years. There'd been a buzz across the county for weeks that some country music starlet had bought the old Anderwald place, seeking refuge from the melee of infamy. But something else tugged at the curator's memory, a flutter beyond his cognitive grasp. Yes, I hope you can, the woman said. I bought a ranch near here a few months ago. It's out on Highway 16. Mm-hmm, the man nodded. The thing is, the stranger hesitated. Shoot, you're going to think I'm crazy, she laughed nervously. You'd be surprised, ma'am. My bar for crazy has always been pretty darn high. The curator grinned, hoping to put his visitor at ease. I think it might be haunted, she said, leaning in close, like she feared being overheard. Ah, yes, Peacock Bend, out on the old Bandera Road. Yep, I know, the man said. Suspicion sparked in the woman's eyes. You know I bought it, or you know it's haunted? The man shrugged. Bandera's a small place. You'll need to get used to a fair bit of gum flapping around here. Or, he thought to himself, the petty impulses of those who relish any chance to sit in sanctimonious judgment of their fellow man. I see, she said, still wary. Maybe you can tell me something about the family who used to own the place, all those graves on the hilltop. The curator pursed his lips. Where to begin, he wondered. As a general matter, the intrepid pioneers who built this town didn't last long in those days, but the poor souls of Peacock Bend had a disproportionate share of loss over the 4 generations that lived out there, that's for sure. The visitor began to say something else, but was distracted. Her gaze fell upon 2 ragged photographs hanging askew on the wall beside the counter. May I? She asked, pointing at the splintered frames, cobwebs draped at their corners. Be my guest, the curator said. The woman lifted the first photo from its hook and brushed it off with the sleeve of her jacket. A pair of wild-eyed Arabian men and a grubby Confederate soldier were posed astride camels, grimacing into the lens. Would you look at that, she muttered, and replaced the frame on the wall. The mysterious caller took the second photo from the wall and gently blew the dust from its surface. She began to cough and sputter. A stern young woman who appeared to be in her early 20s stood on a riverbank, staring out from many lifetimes ago. The image was degraded at the edges, leaving the impression that the subject was floating across the water. A name and date were etched on the bottom of the picture. Agnieszka Novak Anderwald, 1861. The visitor gingerly ran her finger over the figure's light-colored hair and round face, the detail about the eyes beginning to dissolve. I know you, she whispered. The curator cupped his hand around his ear. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I've seen her, the visitor spoke up, but her voice was thin and her hands trembled. At the ranch, and I've also seen that thing, she said, pointing at a dark shadow hovering in the photograph's background. A chill raced along the curator's spine. Now I see why you have come, he said. We all figured the curse of the Anderwalds had lifted after the last of them died out, but maybe not. A curse? You're not serious, the woman scoffed. I may have spun a yarn or 2 in my day, but when it comes to the Anderwald family, I never waver in my faithful commitment to the facts, the curator insisted. I'm sorry, a curse? The visitor raised an eyebrow. I will do my best to explain, ma'am, but as is true of all the best stories, folks don't always agree on the who, what, where, and when. That said, I'm probably the only person left alive who can make any sense of it for you. Please tell me everything, the woman said with a note of urgency. I need to know. The curator pulled a stool from behind the counter and patted the seat. After all these years, he relished the chance to set the record straight and lift the burden from his heart. Why don't you sit down, he said. I'll get us some coffee. I'll leave it there.
Ooh. Okay, madam. That was so good. So good. And I have so many questions. I know our viewers are probably, and listeners are going, what is going on here? So we need to know. So let's dive right in. Beautiful reading. So congratulations. Okay. Congratulations on the debut book. It is exciting. Let's start. What is the stories about? And you said it in Texas. So I said, Texan girl, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. Give us more. What is the story about? Where are you taking us and what's happening here?
Sure. Well, this is a Texas story where I grew up. I grew up in Dallas, Texas, and I still have my family there. They live in the Texas Hill Country in Austin and San Antonio. And so it's a Texas story. It's a story of Bandera, a specific small town in the Texas Hill Country. Really sits in a crucible of both Texas and U.S. history for lots of reasons. And it's also the quintessential American story. It's a story of immigrants fleeing oppression and violence in their home country and coming to what they think is going to be a land of faith, fertile soil, and freedom, only to find more oppression and more violence. It's the forging of the American frontier. So it's overcoming hardship, the land, the people, and their grit and determination against all odds. And it's also about the power of faith and family, however you find family, however you find and define community, and the strength that you gather from that and the protection that you gather from it. And then they're just the realities of there are forces beyond our control, no matter what you call them, devils, bad luck. Our moral compasses are threatened. Our sense of right and wrong, our worldviews are threatened, particularly at times of violence and at times of strife, in times of strife, rather. So I really do think this is about the not infallibility of the human spirit, but the strength of the human spirit and our need for family, our need for angels to help us confront those devils and those demons. So that's what the story's about.
That's a lot. Like, let's just talk about you have packed in a lot in one book. I am very much like he said, I have goosebumps. I'm like, me too. I don't do any of this. What is happening? Really, really enjoy how you set it up. I enjoy the premise of it, how you said it. Where did this idea come to you? Because I'm going, you brought a lot to the table. How did you decide we're doing this?
Yeah. Well, so my sister bought a ranch along the Medina River in Bandera, Texas, just outside of Bandera, Texas, a little over a decade ago. And there was a ghost on the ranch. She saw it, her husband saw it, a few other people saw it. These are rational people. So there was something to this woman who kept appearing. And she appeared in 1800s dress, a long white dress. And sometimes she just passed, other times she stopped and watched, and other times she was holding papers and imploring people for help. And so when I heard this story, I first got goosebumps. I then wondered, is my sister crazy? Is her family crazy? And then when I realized that there were really rational people seeing this, I dug in. Who is this woman? Where did she come from? And why won't she leave? And that really started the inspiration for the story. Did a little digging around town, and apparently this woman was no stranger to many people in Bandera. There was a murder suicide on this ranch at the turn of the 20th century, and we're assuming she was the victim in this crime and in this tragedy. So that's how the story started. And then in addition to asking who she is, I'm like, and what is this place, this cowboy capital of the world? And I started to research and really almost wrote the story in reverse and came back to how did she get there? How did the people before her get there? And I discovered this amazing story of Polish immigrants who came in the mid 1850s on the eve of the Civil War, who were founders of the town, and just this unbelievable history of the region. And that's really what sparked the novel.
Oh my God. The fact that you have so much truth in this, now I'm like, now I really have goosebumps. Not visiting your sister. I'm sure she's having a great time in her ranch. We're going to pass it. How much time did you spend working on your research and then putting the book together?
Yeah, I would think all in, it was about 4 years. And it included many, many trips for family reasons to Bandera. But also, I spent a lot of time at the Frontier Times Museum, which is actually featured in the prologue and throughout the book, where they have collected unbelievable amounts of memorabilia from the time, everything from ranch implements through to stuffed, you name it, whatever animal roams the hills in that area, and pictures of these really hard scrabble pioneers who built this town. And then I stumbled across a historian who founded the museum. His name was J.M. Hunter. And over the years, he had written several monographs about the Bandera region and histories of the Bandera region. One in particular had oral histories and interviews that he had made over the course of the 1920s with some of the founding fathers and mothers. And those really helped inspire sort of the characters. This is fiction. These are all amalgams, but they are very much evocative of real people who lived at the time.
I love it. I'm glad that you're going, it's fiction with a touch of truth, because I think as authors, everything we do has a touch of truth in it. What are you working on
Mm-hmm.
next? Because our minds don't stop. So what else is going on? What do you
Yeah,
have in the base? Tell us.
yeah. Well, so I'm not quite done with Bandera. In the course of the research, this story that is going to sort of serve as the springboard for my next novel didn't quite make it into the pages, although one of the uh, nasty characters in real life inspired some of the nasty characters in The Wretched and Undone. But there was a murder of 8 men by a vigilante group. It's right in Bandera. It's called the Mystery of Tragedy Tree. These men were all hung with the same rope, and the perpetrators got away. And there was a ninth individual in the party that had been detained by these vigilantes who also got away. And this is a still as yet unsolved murder mystery. Who was that ninth person? Where did the perpetrators go? The Bandera County court brought them up on a grand jury in absentia, a grand jury indictment in absentia for about 10 years after the war, just to make sure that if they ever did turn up again, they could be arrested and tried. And they never found them. So that's the springboard for my next novel, which I'm working on right now.
I love the fact that you pull on these threads that are just like a little dark. What am I saying? Very dark. This is very dark. And just create these
Yeah.
beautiful works of art to entertain and kind of make people feel so many things. What do you hope your readers are getting from your stories? Because they're very much intense.
Yes, these are not beach reads for sure. And so I think while the book is called The Wretched and Undone, and this next story is quite dark as well, I think it is about how we as humans can confront some of the darkest places, yet we have resilience in us. And we all confront demons, but we all need angels. And we find them in mysterious places and in odd places. And, when you look at this crazy assembly of this family that's everything from Arab camel wranglers to old Confederate soldiers to a damsel in distress to, a medicine woman, and they all come together and protect each other. It's about rising from the ashes and just the resilience we have as human beings to overcome these dark forces. So that's really what I hope, is that while it's a terrible path, there is hope at the end, even in the worst of circumstances, is really the message I think about.
You have so many universal themes, and I think sometimes we take them for granted. Like that is the core of our existence is resilient and coming across and doing all these things, which I adore. So you have been, this is a debut novel, you're putting all these research, you're working for years in this. What advice would you give an up and coming author who's like, I want to tackle something like this? What would you tell them?
Yeah. One of the most gratifying things one can do is to put art into the world, something from your creative soul into the world. It is also one of the most terrifying things you can do, because you're really putting yourself out there. But I really encourage people to be brave. The second piece of advice is that uh, the moment you type the end at the end of your manuscript, just be aware it is just the beginning. There's a great quote by Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park, which is great novels are not written, they're rewritten. And that is just a hard, cold fact. And it does take sort of taking the ego down and leaning back in, accepting feedback, and really asking yourself, is this the best that it can be? And that's hard to do. It's hard to do when you're putting your creative soul on a page. But those are my two pieces of advice, that do it, but understand it's going to take some time and some endurance.
Those are perfect and very relatable. Because we think, oh, we're done. This is the beginning. I'm still with you. It's like, oh, now
Yeah.
it's just where the work comes in. So I love it. As a reader, because every author enjoys to
Yeah.
read, what are your favorite books to read? And are they this dark as the stuff that you write? Do tell.
Yeah, I'm drawn to those book stop books, or the doorstop books, super thick, really kind of very literary, often dark. I'm a sucker for gallows humor and dark comedy. Also a little bit of a sucker for gore. I am drawn to that. So I read a lot of Texas noir. I read a lot of westerns. I read a lot of Southern Gothic, sort of circa mid 20th century. So Flannery O'Connor, Harper Lee. Those would be two of my favorites. But also a little later, we're talking Cormac McCarthy. That's really the vibe for the kinds of books that I read.
It's also really fun just to see the influence on your writing and how those kind of things that you enjoy, you have put it on the page and just brought them more to life. Have you added a little bit of you to your page besides your family and your sisters, crazy purchase?
Yeah. So I do think the character of Liza in particular has a lot of how I speak, how I think, how I have acted sort of over the course of my life as a woman and created agency for myself. She's probably the closest to me. Um, and then young Liza is very much my daughter's. There are points of dialogue that are actually just drawn from real life conversations or overhearing my incredibly strong, focused young daughters speaking. So I think that's where the most of me comes in. But there are just whispers of many people I have loved, many people I have lost in all of these characters. It's inevitable when you're writing. There's going to be a part of you in every one of your characters.
I
Maybe not
absolutely do.
Brewer. Maybe not the bad guy. Maybe not the bad guy, but maybe
Are you
not the
sure?
bad
Are
guy.
you sure? We're all a little bit dark sometimes. So, Madame,
That's
tell
true.
us.
It's true.
Tell us. Where can
Yeah.
our listeners find you? Where they can get the book? Where they can get more information? What is your website? Give us that.
So I am at www.jeweiner.com. That's Jeweiner. I am a strong advocate for independent bookstores. I hope and encourage all of your listeners and watchers to go to their favorite indie bookstore and ask for this book. If not, you can purchase it on bookshop.org. And there are also opportunities to purchase it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble if that's where you like to acquire your reading material. So there are lots of places you can get a hold of this and some of the other work that I've done.
So I love it. So to our listeners and viewers, make sure to go ahead and check out the book. Grab a copy because you're going to have a blast with it. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. So, Madam, before you leave us, you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Easy peasy. Don't think too much on it. Let's see how you
Okay.
do. Pepsi
Mm-hmm.
or Coke?
Oh, Coke.
Okay. Breakfast
Coke, for sure.
or dinner?
Breakfast.
Not bad. Superhero or villain?
Villain.
There's so much more fun to write.
Villain.
City or country?
Country.
Okay. Here is a little different. Let's see how you do with this one. What is one food, doesn't matter what it is, that will best describe your personality?
Haagen-Dazs coffee chip ice cream. Sweet, but a little bit not sweet.
That is perfect. Nice job. And on the point. I love it. So, Madame, it has been a pleasure having you. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
No, I'm just super grateful that you give indie authors a voice and an opportunity to come on and share a bit about their work. And I'm grateful to you for the time.
It has been truly a pleasure. Absolutely. Please let us know when the next book comes out because we want to talk to you about it. We want to know how that's going. So keep us informed. And we're absolutely grateful. Thank you. Thank you. So to our viewers,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you for joining us today. It has been an absolute blast. So the good news for everybody is we have one more author coming this afternoon. So come back at 2 o'clock Central Time so we can kind of hang out with the next one because you're going to love it. Thank you for joining us. If you are new to the program, make sure to subscribe. You do not want to miss a single episode, and we're grateful for you. So we'll see you back in a little bit. And thank you again. Bye, everyone.